What happened to Amelia Earhart? The unsolved mystery. Imagine this: a fearless woman, soaring through the skies, chasing a dream that no one else dared to pursue. Her name was Amelia Earhart, the first female aviator to fly solo across the Atlantic, a beacon of courage in a world bound by limits. In 1937, she embarked on her most ambitious journey yet, a flight around the globe. But somewhere over the vast, endless Pacific Ocean, Amelia Earhart, her navigator Fred Noonan, and their Lockheed Electra vanished without a trace. No wreckage, no bodies, no answers. What happened to Amelia Earhart? Was it a tragic accident, a secret mission gone wrong, or was something far stranger? Welcome to a mystery that has haunted the world for nearly a century, a true crime enigma that refuses to be solved. Settle in, because we're diving deep into the disappearance of Amelia Earhart, an aviation mystery that will leave you questioning everything. This is no ordinary story. It's a puzzle with missing pieces, a tale that blends fact, speculation, and whispers of the unknown. For every answer we uncover, two more questions arise. Did Amelia crash into the sea, lost forever to the waves? Did she survive, stranded on a remote island, waiting for a rescue that never came? Or could she have been captured, her fate tied to secrets too dangerous to reveal? As we unravel this unsolved mystery, I'll take you through the events of that fateful day, the theories that have kept investigators awake at night, and the chilling possibilities that linger in the shadows. So, let's step back to 1937 and follow the trail of a woman who flew too close to the edge of the unknown. Amelia Earhart wasn't just a pilot. She was a pioneer. Born in 1897 in Kansas, she defied the expectations of her time. Women weren't supposed to fly planes, let alone break records, but Amelia did both. By 1932, she'd become the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, earning her a place in history. Her daring spirit and relentless ambition made her a global icon, a symbol of what was possible when you refused to stay grounded. But Amelia wasn't content with fame. She wanted to push further, to circle the globe, a feat that would cement her legacy as one of the greatest aviators of all time. In 1937, at the age of 39, she set out to do just that. Her plane, a Lockheed Electra, was a marvel of its era, a twin-engine beast designed for long-distance flights. Accompanying her was Fred Noonan, a skilled navigator known for his expertise in charting courses across vast oceans. The plan was audacious: fly 29,000 miles around the world, following the equator, stopping at remote airstrips to refuel. It was a journey fraught with mechanical failures, unpredictable weather, and the sheer isolation of the open sea. But Amelia thrived on risk. She'd faced storms, engine trouble, and skepticism before, and she'd always come out on top. This time, though, the odds were stacked against her. By June 1937, Amelia and Fred had completed two-thirds of their journey. They'd flown from Miami to South America, across Africa, through Asia, and into the Pacific. Their next leg was one of the most perilous, a 2,556-mile flight from New Guinea to Howland Island, a tiny speck of land in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Howland was barely a mile long, a flat, desolate strip surrounded by endless water. Landing there required pinpoint navigation, and there was no room for error. To guide them, the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca was stationed near Howland, ready to send radio signals and watch for the Electra's silver wings. On July 2nd, 1937, Amelia and Fred took off from dawn. The Electra was loaded with fuel, its engines roaring as it climbed into the sky. Witnesses in reported that the plane seemed sluggish, weighed down by its heavy load, but Amelia was confident. She'd flown longer distances before, and Fred's navigation skills were unmatched. The Itasca waited at Howland, expecting to hear from the Electra as it approached. Hours passed, and the first radio messages came through, faint but clear. Amelia's voice crackled over the airwaves. "We're on a line 157 to 337. We will repeat this message." The Itasca crew listened intently, but something was wrong. Amelia could hear the ship's signals, but she couldn't seem to receive their responses. The messages grew more urgent, her voice tinged with frustration. "We are running on line north and south," she said, her final transmission at 8:43 a.m. Then silence. The Itasca tried desperately to re-establish contact, sending signals and scanning the horizon. Nothing. No plane, no smoke, no sign of the Electra. The U.S. Navy launched a massive search, one of the largest in history at the time. Ships and planes scoured 250,000 square miles of ocean, combing the waters around Howland and nearby islands. They found nothing, not a scrap of metal, not a drop of oil. Amelia Earhart, Fred Noonan, and their plane had vanished in a thin air, leaving behind a mystery that would captivate the world. What happened? The simplest explanation is a crash. The Pacific Ocean is vast and unforgiving, and the Electra was running low on fuel. If Amelia and Fred missed Howland Island, they could have run out of gas and plunged into the sea. The ocean's currents are strong, and wreckage could have been swept away or sunk to depths beyond reach. This theory, known as the crash and sink hypothesis, is supported by the lack of physical evidence. The Itasca reported cloudy weather and rough seas, which could have disoriented the crew. Navigation in 1937 relied on celestial sightings and radio signals, both of which were imprecise. Fred Noonan's charts might have been off by a few miles, enough to doom the flight. And Amelia, though a brilliant pilot, wasn't an expert in radio communication. The Electra's radio equipment was finicky, and the Itasca crew noted that her transmissions were often garbled or mistimed. A small error, a miscalculation, a missed signal could have sent the plane into the abyss. But the crash and sink theory doesn't explain everything. Why didn't the Itasca see any debris or oil slicks? Why were Amelia's final messages so calm, with no mention of imminent danger? And then there are the strange radio signals. In the days after the disappearance, stations across the Pacific picked up faint transmissions that seemed to come from the Electra. Some were dismissed as hoaxes, but others were eerily specific. A teenage girl in Florida claimed to hear a woman's voice saying, "This is Amelia Earhart, we're on an island." A station in Canada reported a signal mentioning Noonan and water. These post-loss signals, as they're called, have fueled one of the most compelling theories, that Amelia and Fred survived the crash and landed on island. This brings us to the castaway theory, centered on Nikomororo, an uninhabited atoll about 350 miles from Howland. Nikomororo, then called Gardner Island, was part of the British Phoenix Islands. It had a reef that could have served as a makeshift runway, and its lagoon offered a slim chance of survival. The International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, TIRE, has spent decades investigating this theory. They argue that Amelia landed the Electra on Nikomororo's reef at low tide, allowing her to send radio signals for a few days until the tide rose and swept the plane away. In 1940, British colonial officers found a partial human skeleton on Nikomororo, along with items that might have belonged to a woman: a sextant box, a jar of freckle cream, and a woman's shoe. The bones were later lost, but forensic analysis of measurements suggested they could belong to a woman of Amelia's height and build. TIRE's expeditions have uncovered more clues: a campfire site, animal bones, and artifacts like a knife and aluminum panels that might have come from the Electra. In 2018, a study claimed that bones found on Nikomororo were a 99% match for Amelia's measurements, though the evidence is controversial. Supporters of the castaway theory believe Amelia and Fred survived for weeks, maybe months, on the island, eating fish and birds while waiting for rescue. But Nikomororo was harsh, scorching sun, limited water, and no shelter. If they landed there, their chances of long-term survival were slim. The theory is tantalizing, but it's not without flaws. Why didn't search planes spot the Electra or signs of life? And why haven't modern searches found definitive proof like the plane's wreckage? Then there's the capture theory, a darker and more speculative idea. In 1937, tensions were rising in the Pacific. Japan was expanding its empire, and the U.S. was wary of its ambitions. Some believe Amelia's flight was a cover for a secret mission to spy on Japanese military installations in the Marshall Islands, then under Japanese control. According to this theory, Amelia and Fred were captured after crashing or landing in Japanese territory. Witnesses in the Marshall Islands claimed to see a plane crash in 1937, followed by the arrest of a white woman and man. A 1943 film, Flight for Freedom, hinted at this idea, portraying a female pilot on a covert mission. In the 1960s, a woman named Irene Bolam came forward, claiming to be Amelia Earhart, living under a new identity after being released by the Japanese. Her story was debunked, but it added fuel to the conspiracy. The capture theory has its believers, but it's shaky. There's no hard evidence of a spy mission, and U.S. records show no such plan. The Japanese government has denied any involvement, and searches in the Marshall Islands have turned up nothing. Still, the idea persists, fueled by the era's geopolitical intrigue and the mystery's refusal to be solved. Could Amelia have been a pawn in a larger game, her fate hidden by governments on both sides? There are stranger theories, too. Some claim Amelia was abducted by aliens, pointing to the post-loss radio signals as evidence of extraterrestrial interference. Others suggest she returned to the U.S. in secret, living out her days under a new name. These ideas stretch credulity, but they show how deeply this mystery has embedded itself in our collective imagination. Amelia Earhart's disappearance isn't just a true crime case. It's a canvas for our fears and fascinations, a story that lets us explore the unknown. Let's step back and look at the facts. On July 2nd, 1937, Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan left New Guinea, for Howland Island. They never arrived. Their last confirmed message came at 8:43 a.m., reporting their position but no sign of land. The Itasca lost contact, and despite a massive search, no trace of the Electra was found. The post-loss signals, the Nikomororo artifacts, and the whispers of espionage offer tantalizing clues, but none provide a definitive answer. The ocean is vast, and 1937 technology was limited. The truth might be buried in the deep, scattered across an island, or locked in a classified file we'll never see. What makes this mystery so enduring? It's not just the loss of a plane. It's the loss of Amelia, herself a woman who embodied freedom, courage, and defiance. She was a hero, not just to women, but to anyone who dreamed of breaking barriers. Her disappearance feels personal, a theft of someone who belonged to the world. And yet, there's something poetic in her vanishing. Amelia lived on the edge, chasing horizons others couldn't see. Maybe her story was always meant to end in mystery, a final flight into the unknown. So, what do you think happened to Amelia Earhart? Did she crash into the Pacific, her plane swallowed by the waves? Did she and Fred survive as castaways, clinging to hope on a forgotten island? Or was she caught in a web of espionage, her fate sealed by secrets we'll never know. The disappearance of Amelia Earhart remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century, a true crime story that defies resolution. It's a reminder that some questions don't have answers, and some stories live on because they refuse to end. I want to hear from you. Share your theories in the comments. What do you believe happened to Amelia and Fred? Have you come across a clue or a story I didn't mention? And if you're as fascinated by aviation mysteries and unsolved cases as I am, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We've got more chilling tales coming your way, stories of vanishings, hauntings, and enigmas that will keep you up at night. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Amelia Earhart's disappearance, give this video a like and share it with a friend who loves a good mystery. Until next time, keep searching for the truth, because sometimes the answers are out there, waiting in the shadows. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown.